Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couples Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean. And this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Check us out online at couplesynergy.com or on Facebook and Instagram at Couples Synergy. And please subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couples Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for over 20 years.
You know, everyone says you should work on your relationship, but nobody teaches us how. So we've created this podcast to teach people what they can do to create the relationship they've always dreamed of
with the partner they fell in love with. On today's episode, we are talking about
being right.
We're talking about being right.
Yep.
I'm sure many of you know people out there that think they're right all the time. And they always know what's right.
Well, you know, our son would say, of course, whatever decision you make, you think is right. And the way our brains work is if you don't know how to do something and you figure out a way to do it, then you know one way and it worked.
But you think that's the right way.
Right. That's all you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then for whatever reason, it's really interesting. If someone else tries to introduce us to a new idea, we don't like it.
Yeah. Because it's not what you think is right.
Yeah, like you ever drive someone to the airport and they want you to go a certain way that you're not used to going? And
that's my dad.
Oh, yeah.
My dad has his right way of driving to the airport. And if you take a different way, so why are you going this way? So why wouldn't I go this way? What's wrong with going this way versus your way?
Oh, he's better.
This way is the right way.
Why do we have to be right? Why is that in us? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think it's the risk of trying something new and the uncertainty of not knowing if it'll work or not. And we're very, very comfortable with our habits. We're very comfortable doing what we've always done because we know what we're going to get.
And this is something that can become very toxic in a couple's relationship,
mm-hmm.
where one person or both people think they're right. And they want you to judge them on who is right and who's wrong.
And there's no such thing.
No.
You know, right and wrong are made up. It's made up because we did something and it worked, so we say that's right. But right and wrong are really agreed upon concepts of a tribe. So in the United States, we've agreed to drive on the right side of the road. But other tribes drive on the left side.
Well, our way is right.
Yes, it is right. And, you know, for all of us, when you think about what job should you do and how many kids should you have and who should you be married to and what time should you go to bed at night, there's no such thing as what's right for you and what's right for me is very different.
I just have to take a pause and say that all of you listeners out there in the UK, I drove in England and in Scotland, and you guys drive really fast.
Yeah, I drove there too for,
really
those
fast.
roundabouts, and you're like,
and the roundabouts are
be
really, really just fast and scary. I think I almost got in like 5 accidents.
Yeah.
When we were there. And we were only there for like 4 days or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to say, hats off to you guys out there, because it's, man, driving is something else. Anyway, back to being right.
Or not.
You know, I love when couples come in and meet with us, and, you know, one of the things they want is for us to judge who's right and who's wrong. We tell them you're both right and you're both wrong.
Yeah, it's really interesting, too, is training our staff and letting them know that it's completely irrelevant. And they're like, what? Because we're not trying to help you problem solve. Our goal is healing. It's not problem solving.
Right.
So what's the right color paint to put on your wall?
Yeah.
And
or aren't I right? He should clean up after himself.
I want to go back to that paint on the wall thing, because in our old neighborhood, every neighbor's home looked identical.
Mm.
And it was new construction,
It's a
at least when we moved
cookie-cutter
in,
neighborhood.
a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was what the builders chose, right? So it's builder white
Mm-hmm.
or grayish. Isn't that the color today is grayish?
Grayish.
And everyone wants their
The
house to look
gray-beige.
like it came right out of Target. Right?
Not Target.
Live, love, laugh.
No, it's like Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah.
But
the tchotchke stuff you can get, and they all look the same. And there must be some comfort in that, because our house did not look at all like anyone else's.
No.
We have way too much creativity in us. We just, we're very soon to opening up the saloon, which is our new recording studio for the podcast.
Yes. If you all remember, we started this podcast in our home pub, which we had turned our entire basement into a UK pub. And that was our recording studio for the podcast. It was the birthplace of the podcast. And now that we are in Colorado, we are building another studio.
Yeah,
and this is going to be a saloon, a Western
we'll
saloon.
have to change the intro, because when we say we invite people over to our home pub, pour a drink, and share their stories, that's got to get reworked.
Yeah, and I think I have to say, howdy. This is Dr. Ray.
Howdy's Texas. I don't
Is it?
think it's Colorado.
So,
We'll figure it out.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And
We'll figure out what's
let
right.
Y'all know. We'll let y'all know.
That's Texas too. We'll figure out. We'll do it right.
We'll do it right. The right way.
It's interesting when someone comes up to you, and I think this is where I thought about this topic, is we had the neighbors over last night, and somebody was talking about something, and I was like, well, here's a solution to that. Here's what I did.
Mm.
And you can feel when you offer that to someone, they're never usually open to hearing about it. They sort of glaze over and they don't really want to hear it. Your mom is the best. Your mom
Yeah.
will beat that drum until you change your mind to her way.
Yes. Because she finds everything that's the best.
Oh, it's the best.
It's the best.
She has the best dentist in the world, and she
Uh-huh.
has the best
the
everything.
best everything.
And then when it's not the best,
Her
she's like,
best recipe.
and then when it's not the best, or she changes her mind, she's like,
Yeah.
but that's no more. This one's the best.
Right.
And it'll be the only one she's ever done. But she has to trump it up like it is awesome.
Well, if you think something is right, you have to believe it.
It's a great way to get into a power struggle with your partner.
Is it really that big of a deal?
I think most fights start out by trying to be right. And when you're sitting on some tension and some stress, and, especially if you're feeling like maybe your partner has been ignoring you, or they've been bossy or taking over and you're feeling kind of slighted or resentful, and then they try one more time to be right or do it their way, and then you blow up and have a big fight. And it's really because of the other stuff.
Right. All the stuff that's just been simmering for a long period of time. And this is the culmination. I can remember that couple that would argue about the right way to load a dishwasher.
Yeah. Fold a shirt.
And I just can't. I mean, I know it has nothing to do with the dishwasher. We were able to find out the actual iceberg underneath and what it was really pertaining to, but that's what it gets to. It builds up, and then it blows up over something that is just seemingly innocuous.
Right. And it's built in us to be resistive to someone else's idea of their opinion of what is right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. For me, I have learned to, if I think I'm right when we're driving, to go the other way.
What do you mean?
Because I'm almost always wrong.
Oh, I see.
If it feels like I should turn right, I should probably turn left.
You should turn left.
Because I'm always backwards with that. And all it takes is
you can't trust what you think is right.
right.
When it comes to driving.
Right.
Okay.
And you drive a lot more than I do, so I'm not usually aware. But I do the same thing hiking.
Yeah. Well, your navigation.
I'm a little dyslexic, so I get twisted up a little bit. It seems the other way. But all you have to do is bet me.
Bet you what?
If you think I'm right or not.
Oh, okay.
You say, I'll bet you you're wrong.
Yeah.
And then I pretty much go, yeah, I've lost all those bets.
Yes, you have.
So I just stop.
Are you looking for some great ideas for date night, or are you looking for some great ideas for family bonding time?
We're a big proponent of spending time doing new things that are thrilling and exciting.
Look up theadventurechallenge.com. That's theadventurechallenge.com for a couples edition and family edition. Now, these books come with 50 scratch-off adventures for couples and also for families to bond together and have some great fun together. Use coupon code CouplesSynergy when you're checking out for a 10% discount.
Hashtag couple synergy approved.
We always are looking for some great times. Again, that's theadventurechallenge.com. That's theadventurechallenge.com, and use Couples Synergy as the coupon code.
Well, I experienced this phenomenon last month because I went hunting for the first time. And I was trying to learn about how to do it the right way.
Right.
Getting a lot of opinions, right, from multiple neighbors who have been hunting for years and years, and everyone has their right way of doing it.
Yeah.
The right way of hunting, the right way of field dressing, and it was so much. There were so many different viewpoints. It's hard to find what is the right way. You have to go out and you have to experience it and create it yourself in order to find the right way.
What if you only watched one person?
Then, if you watch one person, you would just follow that, and you would think there was nothing else, no other opinions or no other ways of doing things.
I think that's where the term life hack came from.
Life hack?
Yeah, like you can do this a simpler way. And that seems different than saying you're doing it wrong and here's the right way. Instead, it's like, let me show you a way that's more efficient or something.
Well, there were definitely different opinions that were, of that same sort. It's like, this is more efficient, this is faster, this is easier. But then there were definitely opinions where people were saying, this is the correct way of doing it.
And there were caveats. If you had to hike something out for a long period of time where it could take you a long time to get back, because it takes several hikes to get stuff out, then maybe they would say, debone it right here or do it like this because of the situation, or, it's later in the day, or there's a reason for it. There's a reason. It's like, well, this way is efficient, quicker, but it won't work in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it even came down to people having a different opinion than the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Department. It was, the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, they came out with videos on how to do things. This is how you do things in Colorado. And then people would comment, say, no, that doesn't work, or that's not correct, And so it was just very interesting, this experience of trying to find the right way.
I remember watching this conversation about this, and it was a new person that was new to Colorado. And in Colorado, at least around here, in January, the cows drop their calves. So all the calves are born in January. And this person was from like Texas, and he's like, why are they doing that? It's the middle of winter, and they should be born in the spring. And he was really forceful in his opinions. And then finally someone else said, well, it's like that because in the spring they have to go up into the mountains, which is where they spend the summer. And in the spring here, it is wet.
The mud.
And the mud is so bad. And so if those little calves aren't strong enough, they'll all get stuck in the mud and die. So it's easier for them in the wintertime to keep them warm and together and alive from January till the spring than it would be in the spring to help them move if they were little babies and couldn't make it. So again, situational, right?
Yeah, definitely situational. And if you were not open to hearing other people's opinions and hearing different viewpoints on any type of topic, then you are really missing out on a lot more experience. We were talking about this with our staff, and that the way that we work with couples is very specific and very calculated, and it is that way for a reason, because we know what works after
and
trial and error.
Sometimes they want to change it because they want to do it the right way.
The right, quote unquote, the right way. And no, and we said that every word that we use, everything that we do, it all has a purpose, and it is much more efficient and successful than when we first started out working with couples.
And we can tell them exactly why it won't work. And then if they do try to do it the way they feel they want to do it, it'll blow up in their face, and then we'll go, and that's why we don't do it like that. And we watch them do it all the time. It's kind of interesting, but they're learning. And sometimes, as human beings, we're a little stubborn, and we need to do it the wrong way or try a way that we feel is right, and see why it doesn't work.
Well, a lot of times with couples, when they are arguing about the right way or who is right, a lot of times power struggles are at the heart of it.
Yes.
Where some person doesn't want to feel controlled by the other person. And so they are just completely closed off to the other person's point of view because they don't want to be influenced. They don't want to be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a completely separate issue here.
But it's very tied in, and I think that your parents were much more controlling. And I know that sometimes if I even throw something out there, you'll say no really, really fast without hearing anything I've said.
No.
And sometimes it's not worth it. And sometimes I have to fight you about it. But we're all that way. We have this resistance in us to accept someone else's idea of how things should be.
Especially if you've been told what to do all your life by someone else, you are going to be a little bit hesitant and sensitive to your partner telling you maybe you should try it this way.
This is why, when your kids grow up, they don't want to learn it from you. You could tell your kids something over and over again, and then someone else tells them, and they go do it, and they come back like, look what I learned. I'm like, oh, I've been saying that for years. And it's true. It's how it is. It's how we all are.
That's just how it is.
We're hilarious.
Yeah. Well, the job of a kid is to rebel.
Yeah.
That's their job. So that they can create their own adulthood. Hopefully learn from their parents' mistakes and evolve and grow and become something better than their parents. But that first job description, first job duty is to rebel.
Yeah.
So some people never grow out of that. And then they bring it into their committed partnership, and then it becomes this battleground. And especially when there is competition in the relationship, that's where this can be really just exacerbated.
And I think there's also a level of safety involved in this. And it's one thing I've noticed living in Colorado is that, like, how many times we say Colorado? We say a lot. We love it out here.
A lot.
There's a lot more survival stuff here. And when you figure out a problem and it's connected to your survival, you have to be responsible for that. So people are much more cautious in telling people what to do out here. And we noticed that when we started hiking, that if you thought you should do something, don't talk your partner out of whatever they think they should do. Because for sure, there's going to be a problem. And when that problem happens and they go, I knew it. I knew I should have brought extra water or raincoat or warmer clothes or something. And you talk about like, oh, you don't need to carry that weight. You should do it this way. And then for sure that'll happen. And then you'll be in trouble.
Which happened many times
Yeah.
to us. Yeah.
Which is why now we're like, if you think you should do it, do it.
Right. I remember that one time we were passing a creek, and I don't remember who was it that said maybe we should fill up on water. And I don't know who was it that said, no, there's another creek that is on the map that's coming up.
I can guarantee you, I would have never said there's another creek on the map coming up. Because you navigated
I had the
everything.
map. So, I guess
And that one that came up was dry.
it was dry.
And we had the sure thing. And so now we always do the sure thing as much as we can. Because it does get, I mean, we've ran out of water, I think only 2 times in all the hiking we've done. But it's scary when you run out of water.
Oh, especially when it's hot
Yeah.
and you're tired.
And you don't know how far you have to go.
Yeah.
Because that little bit of water, man, that keeps you going. Keeps your wheels greased.
Well, you know, these experiences have kind of pointed out to us the need to say yes to your partner. If your partner wants to do something, they think that this is something that they have to do. It's an inkling that they got. To say no at that point is just you're you know, totally paralyzing your relationship. You're not moving in any direction. You know, if your partner wants to, let's say, start a hobby or something, and you know, there isn't really a main reason, like a huge reason why you wouldn't do it. Like, it would cost a lot of money and a lot of time. You know, okay, maybe that's something you guys can talk about. But if they just want to start something new and, you know, you want to encourage them, support them, and then if things go south after that, then you guys can reevaluate. But saying no right off the bat, it just causes problems.
Yeah, the one thing I think is really sad is people who they set their relationship up in a way where one person has control over the money, and they will say no to their partner's dreams
Yeah.
and hobbies and things they want, and then they'll turn around and spend that money on their hobbies. And sooner or later, the other person figures it out, and that, for many couples, is a deal breaker and should be. And that other person allows their partner to choose for them whether they can afford something or not. And they don't pay attention to the money, and they are acting like a child within that relationship. And if you're in a relationship like that, you need to open your eyes and be an adult and an adult partner and know your finances and pay attention to what your partner's doing, because we're not so good at being accountable as human beings. If we can get away with something, we try to. And then what we do is we end up competing with our partner, because ultimately we feel guilt and shame if we're treating our partner like that, if we're the ones in control of the money. So, this concept of right and wrong is really at a gut level of you knowing yourself. And the next time someone tries to tell you a different way to do something, take a step back and listen. It's not going to hurt to just listen. And then you do it however you want. But that's how we grow. And for sure, your partner has a different idea of what's right.
So before we end the podcast, I just wanted to read off a couple reviews, because I forgot to do that in the beginning.
Oh, that's fun.
But, I think it's important to read them off because people took the time to actually write them. So I want to say thank you to Janet, who said, "Love this podcast, loving all the content. It's so relatable to most people's everyday lives. And you guys are just real people like everyone else, trying to do your best. Love y'all."
Oh, that's fabulous.
And also a thank you to Kathleen out there, who says, "Awesome podcast. Whether you are dating, in a relationship, or married, it has extremely useful content for everyone. Keep up the great work."
One of the things I love about that is that has been our goal, is to be real people that have a real relationship and be relatable, to give hope to anyone. Wherever you're at in the relationship, there's always hope. And it's wonderful to get that feedback. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. We want to thank all of you for joining us today on Couple Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners. For all of you listening, please let us know how you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. And if you want to be guests on the podcast, also email us there at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs, such as Relationship 101, our home study course, the Couples Weekend Intensive, and our premier coaching program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who can benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And thank you for listening.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.